When it comes to games, the summer is always as dry as a desert sand. But at least the gaming industry spiced it up with a little drama. But first, let's talk about the few games that are releasing. These are the biggest gaming news of July. The first and by far the biggest release of the month was yet another remake. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, originally released 13 years ago and still considered one of the best Assassin's Creed games despite not having much to do with assassins, received a modernized remake called Resynced on July 9th. For many of us, it was a nostalgic trip back to childhood, or at least to our younger years. Thankfully for Ubisoft, the remake turned out really well. The game looks better, runs smoother, and even includes a few new missions and extra content. On the downside though, the main menu greets you with more than 80 euros worth of DLC store full of skins in a single player game. Anime and gaming have always gone hand in hand, so it's no surprise we have hundreds of anime games to choose from, ranging from fighting games like Dragon Ball and Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm to RPGs like One Piece and Sword Art Online. And since Sword Art Online is an anime about games, making a game about an anime about a game is an interesting concept in and of itself. Their newest title, Echoes of Aincrad, however, has had a weaker launch than its predecessors and is currently sitting at around 50% positive reviews. One side of gamer enjoys its single-player world and more accessible combat, while the other criticizes how far it strays from MMO roots of the anime and also its rather shallow story. When Halo Combat Evolved launched alongside the original Xbox back in 2001, it completely stunned the gaming world. Its incredible sci-fi lore, fun gameplay, and unforgettable characters turned Halo into one of the most influential gaming franchises of all time. And of course, as has become the trend in recent years, Halo Campaign Evolved features fully modernized graphics and gameplay, brings back fan-favorite weapons from later entries in the series, and just like Black Flag Resynced, even adds a handful of brand new missions. This blast from the past arrives on July 28th for Xbox Series, PC, and even though it pains me to say it, even PS5. Now let's move on to the next game worth talking about this month. Beast of Reincarnation from Game Freak. Yes, that's the same studio behind every Pokemon game. While those have looked almost identical for the past 15 years, Game Freak clearly wanted to prove they're capable of much more. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your taste, there's still a Japanese studio, which means we're getting yet another Oriental Souls-like. At this point, there are about as many of those as there are of remakes and remasters. At first glance, Beast of Reincarnation looks like Sekiro with a little Pokemon twist. During challenging boss fights, you'll be assisted by your loyal companion creature, which can unleash various attacks to help you survive. Even though the genre is starting to feel a bit overcrowded, this one looks genuinely promising. Finally, here's the game I'm personally looking forward to the most. From the core development team behind The Witcher 3 comes an independent project I've mentioned several times already, the Blood of Dawnwalker. Honestly, it feels more like the Witcher game than The Witcher 4 does. I won't dive too deep into it today because we'll be covering it in detail next month, but I will say this: if you're interested in pre-order bonuses, now's the time to grab it. And this isn't just another one-off either. A sequel is already planned and will build on the experience the former CD Projekt Red developers at the Rebel Wolves gained while working on Cyberpunk. So get ready for vampires in the futuristic world, in about 6 or 7 years. I seriously can't wait. Now let's move on to the drama everyone loves so much. Except this time, we, the gamers, will be the ones who will be suffering. Sony has officially announced that starting in 2028, it will start producing physical discs for all PlayStation games. And that's not just bad news for collectors who enjoy displaying game cases on their shelves. The real problem is that digital games haven't truly been sold as software for years. They're sold as licenses to access a game. That means developers and publishers can decide to remove a game at any time, potentially leaving you without access to something you already paid for. We've already seen this happen with Ubisoft's The Crew, whose servers were simply shut down, making the game permanently unplayable. Once physical copies disappear, the same thing could eventually happen to single-player games like God of War. It could also create problems for people who lose access to their account, move to an unsupported country, or run into other account-related issues. so it's no surprise that players are protesting the decision. What is surprising, however, is that shortly after the announcement, Sony's own CEO sold more than half of his Sony shares. So the big question is game ownership truly at risk, or will Sony reconsider its decision after all the backlash? And since I don't want to end on a depressing note, let's wrap things up with some GTA 6 news. While millions of people are eagerly waiting for the third trailer and of course the game's release, Rockstar has decided to ease our suffering a little by releasing new screenshots and background stories for the main characters. These revealed quite a bit about GTA's main storyline, but what's even more exciting are the side activities, something Rockstar has always excelled at. From minigolf, pool, kayaking and scuba diving to motocross racing and drug smuggling, there's gonna be plenty to do. To admire those screenshots on your own, and we'll see each other next month.